Today our topic is what the samurai and Stoics have in common. At first glance, the samurai of Japan and the Stoics of ancient Greece and Rome might seem like they have nothing in common. One is a warrior class from a distant island nation, and the other is a group of philosophers from the Western world. But when we look closer, we find that they share some deep and powerful ideas about life, discipline, and how to face challenges. Both the samurai and the Stoics believed in living a life of virtue, self-control, and inner strength. They understood that life is full of difficulties, but they also believed that how we respond to those difficulties is what matters most. Let's explore these ideas and see what we can learn from them. First, let's talk about the samurai. The samurai were warriors who lived in Japan for hundreds of years. They were not just fighters, they were also deeply spiritual and philosophical. They followed a code called Bushido, which means the way of the warrior. This code taught them to live with honor, courage, and loyalty. A samurai was expected to be brave in battle, but also to be calm and disciplined in everyday life. They believed that death was a natural part of life, and they were not afraid of it. Instead, they focused on living a life that was meaningful and true to their values. They trained their minds and bodies to be strong, so they could face any challenge with confidence. Now, let's talk about the Stoics. The Stoics were philosophers who lived in ancient Greece and Rome. Some of the most famous Stoics were Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. They believed that the key to a good life was to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot control. They taught that we should not let our emotions control us. Instead, we should use reason and logic to make decisions. The Stoics believed that life is unpredictable and that we will face many challenges, but we can still find peace and happiness if we learn to accept what happens and focus on our own actions. They also believed in living a life of virtue, which means being honest, kind, and fair. So, what did the samurai and the Stoics have in common? Both believed in the importance of self-discipline and inner strength. They understood that life is not easy, but they also knew that we have the power to choose how we respond to it. The samurai trained themselves to be fearless in the face of death, and the Stoics trained themselves to be calm in the face of adversity. Both believed that true strength comes from within, and that we must work hard to develop it. They also believed in living a life of virtue. For the samurai, this meant following the code of Bushido and being honorable, brave, and loyal. For the Stoics, it meant being honest, kind, and fair, and living in harmony with nature. Another thing they have in common is their focus on the present moment. The samurai knew that in battle they could die at any moment, so they learned to focus on the here and now. They did not waste time worrying about the past or the future. The Stoics also believed in focusing on the present. They taught that we cannot change the past, and we cannot control the future, but we can control what we do right now. By focusing on the present, we can live more fully and make better decisions. Both the samurai and the Stoics also believed in accepting what we cannot change. The samurai accepted that death was a part of life, and they did not fear it. They knew that worrying about things they could not control would only make them weaker. The Stoics had a similar idea. They believed that we should accept the things we cannot change and focus on what we can control. This does not mean that we should give up or stop trying. It means that we should not waste our energy on things that are outside of our control. Instead, we should focus on our own actions and attitudes. One of the most important lessons we can learn from the samurai and the Stoics is the importance of resilience. Life is full of challenges, and we will all face difficult times. But the samurai and the Stoics teach us that we can overcome these challenges if we are strong in mind and spirit. The samurai trained themselves to be physically and mentally strong, so they could face any battle with courage. The Stoics trained themselves to be emotionally strong, so they could face any problem with calmness and clarity. Both believed that we can grow stronger through adversity, and that the challenges we face can help us become better people. Another lesson we can learn from them is the importance of living with purpose. The samurai lived by the code of Bushido, which gave their lives meaning and direction. They knew what they stood for, and they were willing to die for their beliefs. The Stoics also believed in living with purpose. They taught that we should live in accordance with nature and our own values. They believed that a good life is one that is lived with integrity and virtue. Both the samurai and the Stoics remind us that life is short, and we should make the most of it by living with purpose and meaning. Finally, both the samurai and the Stoics teach us the importance of humility. The samurai were skilled warriors, but they also understood the importance of respect and humility. They knew that true strength is not about showing off or being better than others. It is about being humble and treating others with kindness and respect. The Stoics also believed in humility. They taught that we should not be arrogant or boastful, but instead be modest and grateful for what we have. They believed that we are all part of a larger whole, and that we should live in harmony with others and with nature. In conclusion, the samurai and the Stoics may have lived in different times and places, but they shared many of the same ideas about life. They both believed in the importance of self-discipline, inner strength, and living a life of virtue. They both taught us to focus on the present moment, to accept what we cannot change, and to be resilient in the face of challenges. They also reminded us to live with purpose and humility. These are powerful lessons that we can all learn from, no matter where we come from or what we do. Life is not always easy, but if we follow the wisdom of the samurai and the Stoics, we can face it with courage, calmness, and strength.